Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Luce. He is Juice, and we are back after another Cubs victory. It feels good being back on yet another winning show. Cubs win 7-3 over the Chicago White Sox in game one of this Crosstown series on the South Side.
Juice,
how you doing tonight, buddy? I like that t-shirt you got on.
Yeah, man, right? MLB Jam, boys at Homage hooking it up, man. If you're looking to get, not like super professional looking tees, but like some fun stuff that great conversation starters at the barbecue, this is the shirt, man. Like they got tons of cool stuff. Love their brand. Shirts are comfortable. I'll say that, man. It's sweet. Head over to our friends at Homage and pick yourself up a tee, man. They got like Cody Bellinger shirts right now. They got cool stuff, man. Real cool stuff.
They do. They have a lot of cool shit. Big fan of the MLB Jam too. They do NBA Jam too. They're sick. Highly recommend. So big shout out to our friends over at Homage and Juice, buddy. How you feeling after this 7-3 victory? I know you and I were texting on the side throughout this one and just shared some thoughts on the state of this game. But how you feeling after the dub?
Is it bad that I don't even want to celebrate this one? Because I'm at the point like if they don't win tomorrow, it's unsuccessful. It's an unsuccessful 2-game set because that team on the other side. I don't watch a lot of White Sox baseball. I don't find the time to do it, especially how many times do we, get on shows like this? We have things to do. We cover, 15 other sports, it seems like, too, over the course of the year. So, yeah, man, like there's no excuse to not win these 2 games. It was good to see the middle of the lineup here and the middle of our defensive alignment come out and just kind of throw the gauntlet down and just say, we're going to hit balls out of your ballpark because you don't. And Kyle Hendricks is just going to be spectacular. I know that like say I had the big, 6th or 7th inning, robbing of the home run, but honestly, like this was all Cubs. This whole game was one of those that Jed, talks about, where it's low stress, easy wins, and it felt like they were in control all day, and that's awesome because you don't see that a lot. It feels like we sweat through a lot of these, and now it's like there's no excuse to not win tomorrow too, because the way that this 2 games set up, it's like if you won today, the matchup for tomorrow is just so lopsided that, you hit a couple out of there and you have a good start from Stroh, right? Stroh tomorrow. And you'll probably win another easy one like this. But it just seems like anytime that the Cubs put the ball in play against the White Sox today, good things are happening because that's how you beat them. You put the ball in play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said it to you, and I'm going to say it again. I knew it was bad. I didn't realize it was this bad. The White Sox are not a good baseball team. It just is what it is. They can't field. I don't know what shortstop errors are like to watch, but we saw one from Tim Anderson tonight.
Oh, he doesn't look like he wants to be there.
No. Do you blame him?
Well, but see, like, and I know that we're Cubs on tap, but we're going to try to do little Sox on tap here to identify, at least a little bit of the problem. But that guy was supposed to be your leader. That was supposed to be the guy that's, set the tone. And he doesn't. Like, he goes in there, he loafs. He puts the ball on the ground with the bat. And I mean, like, the throwaway that ended up being another run from the home run, like, set your feet and throw. You had plenty of time. I mean, it was Seiya Suzuki running down the base pass there. Yeah, he's fast, but he's not that fast. Right. It's laziness. And it's just, I get it. There comes a point when you've strung so many losses together. But at some point, be a leader. If you wanted to change the game, do that. Change the game. Be the one that is the exception to the rule on that team and lead and set an example. But I don't know. It seems like over there it's excuses opposed to like just doing little things. Like, I mean, there's a comment in here. I think it was it Jeremiah who said like, how is Grandal still in the league? Like that, like I would run on that guy the minute I got somebody on first. I don't care who they are. It seemed like a lot of these guys could have stole bases tonight, and that's how you win these games, right? Like taking extra bases, doing the little things, and that's what the Cubs do. But they, the White Sox, man, like I don't know. You said it. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad, but I couldn't even get into the game today, let alone like feel threatened at all. Like at least like in the past, those series ended up being somewhat hyped. Some fans take it the extra mile, but I don't know. Today it was just like there's no excitement to that. I've said that for a couple of years that I think the Crosstown's pretty played out at this point. I've said it for a while. You've known my opinion on that. Yeah. That I think it is played out. There's people who love it, and those are the worst people in our fan base. Let's be completely honest. For the most part.
Typically.
It's both sides. Like the ones who truly like, hey, fuck the Cubs, fuck the White Sox. Like, dude, you don't understand. We play each other 4 meaningless times a year. I mean, it matters as much as when we play Cleveland or the Orioles. Right? Yeah. And I get everybody's going to play everybody now, and this is what it was. But, prior to that, it was like there were some years I was like, man, can we just play anybody other than, the White Sox for a set of 5? Because I would love to go take a trip to Fenway more than once every 10 years or once every, 10 years to Yankee Stadium or, it was just – but those games got in the way. But I'll take these free wins. If they're going to play that way, then I'll absolutely – I'll take them, and the Cubs should too. At this point, they desperately need them.
Yeah, 100%. And turning to some of the comments here, the comment section is getting really fun. Joey said the Cubs have the best shortstops in the city, as Scott would say. And then in almost consecutive messages, Tim Anderson is the 3rd best shortstop in Chicago. Tim Anderson is the 3rd best shortstop in Chicago. Jeremiah was confused, and then Joey naturally had to get on the run, just like Joey would at the very end. But Juice agreed, understanding of what the Sox, this series means. And I know a lot of people are asking, where's the Sox on Tap crew, asking if it should be a joint episode. But like you said, I mean, they might hate their own team more than we do, truthfully, I think, at this point, and even remotely close. Even the worst of the worst, Joey says, sour juice. Fuck the White Sox. He goes, but I agree. And yeah, I think it's really just what it's become over the years. It's fun when both teams are good. I mean, it's a very
what is that? Once in every 30 years, though.
Sure, yeah.
Like that one 2008 season that was like, oh yeah, look how fun is this? We're both good. It never happens. No, it never happens. My grandfather used to have a theory about it, and it's kind of funny because it makes no goddamn sense, but. He had a theory that. Did you say
your grandfather, right?
My grandfather.
Oh, okay. I thought for a half hot second, I thought you said granddaughter. I was like, Juice, you're not a grandpa yet. But
no, my grandfather. He had a theory that the Cubs and White Sox couldn't win on the same day. So he would go, oh, did the White Sox win? No. Okay, well, the Cubs are going to win tonight. And it did not make any sense at all. But it was always fun to play around with that game with him and be like, hey, so.
Did it actually happen?
Who won today?
Yeah.
But yeah, just to go back, the 1 time or 2 times over the course of my lifetime that both have been good. I get it. It's fun for some people. Maybe I'm a little bit, old and forgotten about some of and old timey too. Like I hate the Cardinals. I would rather play more games with them. And maybe I'm more like AL, NL separated. You know what I mean? Like, remember the days where like the AL and the NL didn't meet each other until the World Series, and that was kind of cool. It was like you didn't know what was going to happen. These two teams didn't play each other. You would talk about, what happens when this person, gets on this stage, and like there was some coolness to that, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. There are some fun moments, I guess. Scott's right. Like, I guess Michael Barrett and AJ Pierzynski, that was something. I mean, I don't know.
Also, you can't forget, Austin Romine, but the Austin Romine homer off Kimbrel. I was at that game. That game was a fun game. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Juice. In moving on, kind of just from the crosstown element of this, because I do want to discuss a little bit actually about what the Cubs did tonight. Because agreed with you, although it maybe isn't worthy of the massive celebration that some people are going to take it as, right, because of the nature of the series. I think it's worth a little bit of celebration because the Cubs did a lot of things right. And that was the beauty of this one, right? Hendricks pitched really well. They played great defense. They took advantage of the White Sox being the highest ground ball rate team in MLB. I mean, they really took advantage of the deficiencies of the White Sox and performed nearly to perfection. They hit for power. They stole bases. There was a stat on the broadcast where, it was the first time or one of the few times since like the 1900s or early 1900s where a team hit 4 home runs and stole 5 bases in a game. I mean,
I missed that, but that's a good stat.
It was a complete, complete performance truly from the team. And, the bullpen got in a little trouble late and what have you. But, as first comment right out the gates here said from Jeremiah, Adbert was filth coming into that jam, ultimately picking up his 10th save of the season. Juice, I mean, if nothing else, this to me is the perfect series this is your cleanup series, right? I'm gonna take a page out of the longest yard here and remind everybody, you need a tune-up game. Yeah, you play, Appalachian State, you kick the shit out of them, get the boys' confidence up. This is what this was for the Cubs, right? Yes, there was times where maybe Sox fans will argue, well, they were in it. They were in it. No, like you said, it really never felt threatening at any point. It felt like the Cubs just got complacent because it was late in the game and, and maybe Fulmer got left in a little long, what have you. But there you go. And Jeremiah with the number for me there. Since 1901. Thank you. It was a pretty complete game. And they got that tune-up game in now for hopefully what is another tune-up game tomorrow for arguably the most critical series of the season, going to St. Louis for 4 games before the trade deadline here, because, trade deadline be damned, knowing the Cardinals are going to sell. This is arguably the most important series coming up after this one. You got Scott here saying July 28th, Jed's going to call the Cardinals. He doesn't want Arenado playing against the Cubs, and, he needs to change clubhouses, straight out of Moneyball. This really could be, the Cardinals aren't going anywhere, but you know how satisfying it would be for the Cardinals to make sure the Cubs totally change the narrative of their season in this upcoming 4-game stretch? This is the tune-up series. You got to get ready to play good ball against the Cardinals here over the weekend because they really need, bare minimum 2, but really 3 out of the 4 to be in a position to say, okay, trade deadline day, we're not hard selling. We're going to do maybe a soft sell at worst, or maybe a soft buy, and you pick up maybe a Candelario or somebody of that nature. You don't go too for it, but you gain a little bit of reinforcement. But Juice, this is exactly what they need. They needed a tune-up game, and they were effective in every phase of the baseball game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, those were some of the early on in the game. They're some of the best at-bats I've seen some players have all year. And I know Kopech's kind of struggled here and there, but I mean, he's got great stuff. And he has the high leverage fastball. He's got that wipeout curveball. And I was very impressed with Christopher Morel. I mean, Christopher Morel spit on a couple of those early on in his at bat, and then was able to hit a home run. He did that over the course of the night too. Same with Dansby. Like, Dansby swings through a couple, finds himself a fastball that he likes and pulls it into the left field bleachers. And the Cubs are on their way at that point. I think controlled aggressiveness is a great theme for tonight. They were aggressive at the times that they needed to be aggressive on the base paths, at the dish, in the outfield, and with many plays across the defensive side of it as well. Mm-hmm. And two, like David Ross, I got to give him a pat on the back too, because when he did a great job tonight of like feeling the game. When it started to somewhat slip, boom, he pulled everything back in. And he would go to Leiter or he would go to Alzolay to finish it out. Like those are the moments that if you wait one more batter too late and Alzolay comes in and the momentum shifted, there's some questions about, what happens in that game further. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe he left Hendrickson maybe one batter too long, but I get it. With the stretch of games that they're going on over the course of the next couple of days, they're probably trying to buy, outs in big blowouts for a little longer. So if he could have went, a couple more, I get what he was trying to do there. Mm-hmm. They play the type of baseball that helps them win. And if they can play that baseball over the course of to these next, 5 games here, they're going to find themselves at that, inching towards that 29 and 24, or that 39 and 24 mark that we talked about on our last episode. And now it's 38 and 24. That's kind of how we're gonna work this going on. It's let's tick off some of these some of these numbers and make it a more manageable, 34 and 24. You've got to play 10 over the course of the next couple months of the season to end the year. Yeah, you could do that. Cubs could do that, but they 100% have to take care of business. Like this stretch of baseball, if they play clean, pitch clean, 5 out of 6, and definitely find themselves on the different side of the coin, more closer to the buyer market.
Yeah, and speaking of the buyer market, Scott with a comment here in the comment section, 2023 being the polar opposite of 2021 is what he's insisting. Instead of going on an epic losing streak, this team is stacking wins, putting together in a position to buy. And yeah, Juice, you bring up the schedule. I think that's certainly worth mentioning from because I think the one criticism that I might have had is like, maybe one batter too long for Hendricks, maybe one batter too long for Fulmer, etc. Right? Like you could make those arguments, but at the same time, it really did feel like overall Ross had the right feel on the game, brought in the right people at the right times. And again, I mean, Adbert looked absolutely filthy in the 9th inning, struck out the side once he got in the game and shut the door. Talk about having an elite closer. I mean, it's been a while. It feels kind of nice to know that you got that guy at the back of the bullpen once again.
And not just that, Rob, the type of closer that can go 3 innings. I mean, how in a playoff series, how valuable is that to have?
Especially if a clinching game is on the line and you just say, you know what, you're our best pitcher. Go out there and give us, even if it's 2, go out there and give us 2 innings and know you're going to be able to get through that with him because of that nature.
Or the fact that you can go from the 7th to the 9th with him, and your starter really only has to get through 4 2/3 or 5 if he's lucky. You can piece the game easier that way, knowing that he can go that extra couple innings, 2, 3. He's been fantastic. I think some pitchers find themselves in different roles and different situations, and it becomes like an immediate well, what do? Do you sit and pout that you're not a starter anymore, or that you're not the long man anymore, or do you make the best of the situation? I'll tell you what, man, that kid's taking the ball and run with it no matter what the role is. And you can't, for a young player, I think we've sold short on how difficult that is to do. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, he really has. And you've absolutely loved to see it. Revisiting, Juice, your point about the schedule here coming up. Cubs obviously coming off an off day yesterday on Monday, this being the first of 2, and then obviously the 4 we mentioned with the Cardinals to round out the month. They play the Reds then for 4 at home, Braves for 3, and then at the Mets. Their next off day is August 10th. And granted, then they start to get into some more lengthy off days in that stretch because of traveling to Canada. They get the back-to-back days on each end of going to the Toronto Blue Jays for 3 games. So they're off the 10th, the 14th, and then the 17th. And between the 15th, 16th, and then 18th, it's all at Wrigley. So, really, yeah, like you said, hey, let's get what we can out of a guy like Kyle Hendricks tonight, especially with a commanding lead in place. And that way it does maybe buy you, whether it's those outs in the next 2 or 3 games, or it's those outs maybe in the next 2 weeks when you're going to potentially need one of your bullpen arms to come through because of the lack of rest between now and that August 10th date. Juice, again, I think, we've covered pretty much everything. I think just to round out my thoughts, at least in terms of the offense for tonight, Nico Horner with the 3 hits tonight. You love to see it. Obviously, the solo shot for him as well. A couple of stolen bags. Overall, a good showing from Nico Horner. Obviously, Dansby Swanson, 3 for 3 with a walk and drove in for just an electric, like he's been lights out since returning from the IL. You mentioned the Morel homer. Gomes with a pair of hits tonight as well. Just overall, a great offensive night. 13 hits from this Cubs team tonight compared to just 5 for your Chicago White Sox. Juice, any final thoughts on the offense and just final thoughts on the game in general before we go ahead and turn our attention to Wednesday?
Do it again. Do it again tomorrow. I want to see the same type of game. Low stress, hit some balls out of that launching pad, and take the lead like they did today early and just put the foot on the throat, because it seems like if the White Sox can get any reason to quit, they'll quit. Like that's where that team is right now. So, yeah, I hope to see a lot of the same run if Grandal's behind there again. And with a team that puts the ball on the ground as much as they do, just ride that sinker. And hopefully it's sinking.
Hopefully it's sinking indeed. Not entirely sure who the Cubs on Tap crew will be tomorrow. It might be yourself and Nick, Juice. There's a chance that a hashtag Where's Joey sighting is in place. But I will not be on tomorrow's show because I will be at the ballpark. I will be sitting down the first base line watching the Stro Show. Absolutely, hopefully shit pump the Chicago White Sox in their own backyard. So I'm looking forward to that. One final thought I did have, Juice, quickly. Jeremiah just made a comment, and I think it's worth bringing up because it's very true of both franchises in the city, something we are very lucky to have. He says, watch the Sox broadcast night, really likes them. You got to look at it. The Cub, the city of Chicago is very spoiled. You look at the 4 play-by-play guys between radio and TV, Len Casper, Jason Benetti, Boog Sciambi, and Pat Hughes. I mean, that probably doesn't get any better anywhere in the country, really, in terms of your baseball teams, let alone sports in general. And then you fit in, great color guys like JD and the entire crew, really, Ron Coomer, etc. We're very spoiled across all sports too. Chicago has been very lucky for a lot of years to have a really good, voice
I agree.
of the teams.
People hate him. I like Steve Stone. I'm a sucker. I don't know why.
Why I like Steve Stone? Because he tells it to you straight, and then you could totally tell he plays into what Jason Benetti's doing.
Sure.
Like Jason wants to fire him up, and he just kind of lets him, and it's funny.
Yeah.
It's good entertainment throughout the broadcast. Those two are great. Really good pairing together. Really two guys that mesh well together, despite being complete polar opposites of one another.
Being a 90s Cub kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned a lot from Steve Stone. I listened to a lot of baseball when I was a young kid, learning about pitch grips and how he's always been the type of guy to know what a pitcher is going to throw before he even throws it. He's great. I know that he doesn't get the best rap on Sox Twitter because he very much plays into the I work for the team and I'm Steve Stone and this is my opinion. And a lot of people think that he's just, one of those guys who more or less is controlled by the whole ambiance of the White Sox and says things to keep fans watching and on the train. But I enjoy him. I think he's great analytically, and that's really all you look for when you're watching as little Sox games as I end up watching.
Yeah, agreed. And I'll catch them every once in a blue moon, but like I said, kind of toward the top of the episode, I knew it was bad. I didn't realize it was this bad over there. So I do have a little bit of sympathy for our friends that are White Sox fans, whether it's friends here at On Tap or just personal friends for either of us. One final thought here before we look ahead. Scott says Bellinger was garbage tonight. 0 for 4. Trade value is tanked. Cubs will get and not get a thing for him. Might as well keep him. I agree, Scott. You might as well keep the guy. Terrible tank value there at 0 and 4. Juice. Let's go ahead and look forward to Wednesday because these teams will do battle just one more time before the Cubs jump on a plane and head down to Shit Lewis to take on the shitbag Cardinals. It's a 7:10 start once again from the G spot on the south side of Chicago. Good pitching matchup tomorrow. A tale of two different pitchers, kind of similar to tonight's pitching matchup. It's the Stro Show on the bump for the Cubbies, and it is the big unit himself, Lance Lynn, taking the mound. Lance Lynn with a 6-9 record is kind of nice, Juice. I don't know what you think about that, but certainly kind of funny from him. But some guys might get called slap dick motherfuckers tomorrow. Some guys might get really pissed off when Stroh's doing his little shuffle slide around the mound. It's going to be a game of a lot of personalities on the mound. I'm kind of excited for it personally. But Juice, what do the Cubbies need to do to secure win number 2 of this 2-game set before they head down to St. Louis?
Yeah, I want nothing more than that 6-10 to be the record that Lance Lynn leaves with. After tomorrow, there was a stat during the broadcast about Kopech, and Lance Lynn was also in that top 4, and that was home runs per game given up. Lance Lynn averages over 2, so you're going to get 2 bombs tomorrow. It's just a matter of hopefully people are on base. You're putting up crooked numbers, and that's hopefully something that the Cubs can take advantage of. I think the other thing, too, that kind of works into the pitching matchup is the White Sox. You said it earlier. They put the ball on the ground more than any team, and Marcus Stroman's the second best at putting batters on the ground. So when the ball's on the ground, for the most part, you can't lose. You really can't. If hitters are hitting ground balls, they're not going out of the park. I'll tell you that much. So that's what he has to do tomorrow. And 2, I'm challenging Marcus Stroman tomorrow. You don't want to leave? Pitch yourself into a 2-0 sweep and all the momentum in the world, heading towards this Cardinal series. Because if you truly want to be a Cub and you want to stick around and be, a part of this next, group of runs, that don't give them a reason to trade you. And win the game tomorrow in dominating fashion, save the bullpen as much as you can. I'm looking for him to go deep in tomorrow's ball game and pitch a gem, because this just sets up so well for him. This matchup is maybe the best in the league. He's going to make you get on the ground, and then, those Cub fielders back there, that elite middle infield, they could easily turn, some balls into double plays, some balls into outs. It'll be it's a recipe for some success tomorrow, and that's why, to me, there's no reason the Cubs shouldn't win.
Yep, I agree completely. Keep the ball on the ground, let the sinker sank. Lance Lynn likes to throw fastballs, and a couple of guys I expect to be in the lineup tomorrow. Christopher Morel, certainly one of them. Dansby Swanson loves to hit the fastball. He'll be in the lineup, obviously, no matter what. But a guy that I think we're going to see start, he came in tonight in a pinch hit performance for Miles Mastroboni. I think we see Patrick Wisdom in the lineup tomorrow, too. 2 home runs against Lance Lynn in his career in just 3 at-bats. So, you want your guys that know how to hit the fastball, because that's what, Lance Lynn loves to throw. Put them in the lineup tomorrow if you're Ross. Let the ball leave the yard enough, and if the Cubs are the only team hitting the ball out of the yard, agree with you, Juice. They'll be 2-0 in the series and moving on with all the momentum to that St. Louis series. A little minor league update. Scott says Jonathan Peraza, 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a homer tonight. He has 4 doubles with 5 extra base hits in his last 2 games for the Iowa Cubs.
That'll work.
Scott from Iowa, a little Iowa correspondent. Maybe we'll see a guy like Peraza next year. I don't know if we'll see him this year, but I believe his expected time of arrival is 2024. So, guy that's had a nice run, and I did see that he was having a good night on Twitter from again future friend of the program. I'm very determined to have this guy on as a guest. One Alex Cohen, who does a great job as the voice of the Iowa Cubbies. Juice, before we get out of here, I want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap, one of two official podcasts here for the On Tap Sports Network covering the Cubos. Be sure to check out our friends over at the Dingers Podcast. They were live last night. Go check out their latest episode over on the YouTube channel here at On Tap Sportsnet, or you can find it wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. In addition, be sure to follow them at Dinger Cubs on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us as well at Cubbies on Tap, Cubbies. I'm Luce on Tap. He's Juice on Tap. Juice on Tap. Luce on Tap. Juice on Tap. Luce on Tap. Where's Joey? Crack him, block him, and fuck him. At Joey Knows Nothing. At TeddyFreddy270. At Nick_on Tap. At Bulls Guy Rob. Make sure you follow the whole gang. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks. You know the drill. Bears training camp opens tomorrow. Whoop, whoop. We're all excited. Football's on its way. And sad news in the Blackhawks world tonight. Rocky Wirtz, the owner of the Blackhawks, passing away at the age of 70 years old. Surely that will be a topic of discussion on the next Four Feathers podcast. Be on the lookout for that. And Cubs fans, you know the drill. You got friends that unfortunately like these White Sox, and I feel terrible for them. So send your friends that are in pain to our friends in pain over at Sox.
And they can be friends.
And they can be friends. They can absolutely be friends. They need to be friends. They need that support of one another, because it's rough. It's rough on the south side of Chicago right now.
It's hard in the streets.
It's hard. It's hard, man. It's struggling. So be sure to send your friends to our friends over at Sox on Tap. Oh, the show's off the rails already. It's okay. OnTapSportsNet.com and OnTap Sports on social media, the OnTap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Wisdom still leads the team in home runs, right, Juice? Scott loves to taunt you about Patrick Wisdom.
It's such a sad stat.
It is such a sad stat. It's so bad.
It's so sad.
It's so bad.
Cubs hit more home runs because the guy who was out for what seems like 7 months is still leading the team in homers.
We need a Cody bomb tomorrow. We need a Dansby bomb tomorrow. We need a Christopher Merrill bomb tomorrow, and I will be a happy human. Maybe even an Ian Happ bomb. That'd be cool.
I haven't seen those in a while.
Wow, that's what I'm saying. So, I'm hoping being in attendance that maybe we'll see something good. Juice, buddy, it's always a pleasure. Nothing better than talking about a Cubs victory with you, my friend. Cubs win 7-3 over the White Sox tonight. They run it back tomorrow with Stroh Show on the bump against Lance Lynn. The boy will be back. After that one, I'll be at the ballpark. If you're out at the ballpark, come say hi. If not, be on the lookout for all the content from the ballpark, videos, pictures. You know the drill. We'll be posting over at Cubs on Tap. Juice, let's get out of here the only way we know how, buddy.
FTC, baby, FTC.
Yeah, fuck the White Sox, too. Let's go, Cubbies.